Hey guys, Andrew here, and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture. So, I know what you guys are thinking, I don't have any champagne. That's because I ran out and I didn't have time to go buy some more. So this episode of Pop Culture is going to be a little dry, but that's okay. Today we're going to talk about the 2018 Miss America Pageant. So I'm gonna start this video with a disclaimer. I'm not a fan of the Miss America organization. Nothing against them, it's just not my cup of tea. I'm way more a fan of the Miss Universe organization, that's Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, and Miss Universe. But I thought that, hey, they deserve a fair shot and a fair review, so don't mind any shady comments I might make. It's really nothing personal, it's just not my cup of tea. So with that being said, Miss America 2018 was last night, September 10th, 2017. And they started off the pageant by talking about hurricane relief, but they were talking about relief for Florida and I believe Harvey as well, and talking about donating to the Red Cross, which I thought was very professional and very nice, very heartwarming to take into consideration what's going on in our country. So I like that right off the bat. And then they did the contestant intro, which is a pre-filmed segment with the girls around Atlantic City introducing themselves, giving us a little fact about where they go to school, how old they are, their names. That I like. That is something I think is still lacking from the Miss Universe organization pageants. They used to do stuff like that, and they tried to do little things like that, but they kind of strayed away from it, and now they just kind of introduced them. So that is one thing I do really enjoy about Miss America. It truly is about the girls, and as the review goes on, or the recap I should say goes on, they really do focus on these girls, which is how it's supposed to be. So then the hosts came out, and the hosts were Chris Harrison and Sage Steele. Chris Harrison, obviously, as we know from Bachelor fame, Bachelor Nation, I'm a huge Bachelor fan, so he's the host of that. Also Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and a bunch of other things too. And Sage, I believe she is a news reporter. She hosted last year too. They were great. I love this. They're both professional. They both know what they're doing in front of the camera. It made for a great show, a great evening. They know how to host. That's their jobs. So another thing I noticed pretty quickly about the Miss America pageant, it moved very fast. Very, very fast. It immediately went from contestant intro to the host talk for a minute to immediately announcing the top 15 finalists. Top 15 finalists were announced in this order. Miss Tennessee, Miss Virginia, Miss Pennsylvania, Miss Louisiana, Miss District of Columbia, Miss Texas, Miss New Mexico, Miss Alabama, Miss Missouri, Miss Alaska, Miss Georgia, Miss South Carolina, Miss New Jersey, Miss North Dakota, and then the fan choice number 15, Miss Illinois. They were cool, I guess. I did pick my favorites before the show, and I can't help but notice that Michigan was left out, Missouri was left out, Arizona wasn't in there. Those were my top 3 from the beginning, and none of them cracked the top 15, so I was a little upset by that. But they had some great girls in that top group. And like I said, it moved fast, so immediately after the announcement of that last girl, they went right into swimsuit. I guess these girls were just running off stage and changing. The swimsuit competition was great. It moved pretty quickly, and they all were wearing a variation of the same swimsuit, roughly, just different colors, which is traditional pageant sense. The Miss Universe organization has kind of strayed away from that, and they can choose from a huge collection of swimsuits, different prints, different colors, different styles. And what I saw at Miss America was the same halter top bikini with a full coverage bikini bottom, and I think one girl wore a one piece. But I guess it's a very fair way of judging. They're all in the same cut swimsuit, So it's a good way to judge their physical fitness and their bodies, and that's pretty much what the swimsuit competition is for. So immediately after swimsuit was the announcement of the top 12, and the top 12 were Alabama, Texas, Georgia, Louisiana, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, District of Columbia, North Dakota, Virginia, New Jersey, Missouri, and South Carolina. So next up, after the top 10 announcement, was evening wear. And evening wear always has some kind of interesting dresses. First I want to say Alabama's dress was very, very nice. It was white, it had beads and glitter. She looked great. I loved DC and Texas's yellow. I'm a huge fan of yellow, as you guys can tell by my bedspread. Love the yellow. They look great. Georgia's dress, on the other hand, I think would have been nice. It was a long sleeve white dress with like cutouts here and like slits and then like gold glitter-ish type thing. But it had this extra, that's a gold glitter belt I should say, and then it had this extra piece here that was like a train. It didn't work, and Georgia was my favorite when they announced the top 15. That dress, however, was not my favorite, but it's not about the dress, it's about how she carries herself in it, is what I've been told. Something cool that the Miss America organization does is the talent portion. The way they announced the top 10 were letting them perform in talent. So if they got called, they got to perform in their talent, and then 2 would get cut. So they started off with the top 10 with Miss Missouri, and she did a Bollywood dance. Very cool. She doesn't look Indian. I'm assuming she must be a little Indian, or maybe she's just interested in Bollywood dance. But she did a Bollywood dance, and it was really cool. After that was Texas, who did a contemporary dance. It was fine. I mean, I'm not a dancer. I've never been a dancer in my entire life, so I don't know what good dancing is. Looked fine to me. Just a lot of jumps, a lot of spins, a lot of all of that. I was watching it with my friend Sarah, who is a dancer, and she was saying they're not dancing, they're just throwing all the tricks that they can possibly throw. So, take that as you will. Next up, my favorite in the talent was Pennsylvania. She played the saxophone. She wasn't one of my front runners until talent. She was great. Nobody looks pretty playing a wind instrument. She looked good. She actually looked good playing the saxophone, and I was a fan after that. I was like, she needs to give her the crown now. Then North Dakota did a jazz dance. Alabama sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Or Over the Rainbow, I don't know if it's the same song. New Jersey also did a jazz dance. DC sang Born This Way, not Lady Gaga's Born This Way, the other person's Born This Way. It's like, I don't want to be rude, but it was not good. It just wasn't the best, but she did good. I mean, it's not easy to sing in front of a live audience, and also knowing that you're singing in front of the entire country at the same time. So she was fine, but it wasn't great. Next up was Louisiana, and she nailed it. She did an amazing singing puppet dummy show. It was fun. It was a nice change from all the dancing that we were seeing. Then South Carolina did a contemporary dance, and Virginia did jazz dancing. So the next round after talent was question rounds. And they were making a huge deal of it all night that they were having 2 questions this year. They had a personal question and a serious final question. So the top 7 got to answer the fun, lighthearted personal question. So they were announced one by one, leaving behind the 3 girls that would have been eliminated. And as they're announced, they're answering their questions. So the top 7, first up was Louisiana, and she was asked what she thinks was overrated. She had 10 seconds to answer this, and she couldn't come up with anything, so at the last second she yelled rompers, which was funny because just the round before in her talent she was wearing a romper. Then it was New Jersey, and they asked her for ideal date, if she'd rather date a movie star or a doctor, and she chose a doctor because intelligence is more important to her. It's like, okay. Then DC was next, and they asked her if she was stopped at a red light at 4 a.m., nobody around, what would she do? Would she stay or would she blow it? She said secretly she would stay because her father was a cop, but she said, but realistically, I take Ubers everywhere I go now if I'm out that late. So it's like, that's funny. Good for you, DC. Clever, funny, I like it. North Dakota was next, and they asked her what her #1 thing on her bucket list was. And she said to make it past the top 10 in the Miss America pageant. Then it was Missouri's turn next, and they asked her what would her autobiography be titled. And she said Diversity Matters. And she said she mentioned she already wrote this book, so I guess it's out. I don't know if it's an autobiography, but it's about loving yourself and talking about how we're all diverse. Then Alabama was next, and they asked her, if Chris Harrison offered you the chance to be the next Bachelorette right now, what would you do? Or would you take it? And she said no, because the history of that show has not proved to be a safe choice in order to find a lover. And last up was Texas, and they asked her about the Miss America pageant and competing in it, saying that women compete in swimsuit, evening wear, talent, question, but if there was Mr. America, what contest would he compete in? And she said swimsuits because everybody loves seeing men in their swimsuits. And then she joked around with Chris Harrison about him competing and in a swimsuit, and Chris Harrison was like, I'm gonna keep my clothes on. But it was cute, it was cheeky, it was fun, a little risky, I liked it. So, after that, they announced the top 5, and the top 5 would now be answering their serious questions. So they did the same kind of thing where they'll announce them one by one and have them answer their questions, and then the last 2 that weren't called were eliminated. So first up in the top 5 was Missouri, and they asked her if she thought Russia was involved in the election, and if so, what should be done. She said she needs more proof. There should be more investigation into Russia to see if they were involved in the investigation, and that if they were in fact involved in rigging the election, then there should be punishment given to them. Then Texas was asked about the riots in Virginia, and if it was handled properly, I guess, the best way to put it in layman's terms. And she said she believes the issue was a terrorist attack, and that the president should have made a statement sooner, not blaming either side, but just ensuring that all Americans do feel safe in the country. Next up was North Dakota, and they were talking about the climate bill, the climate group to make sure climate change, realize climate change is a thing. It says 195 countries are signed in it, and the USA has recently left. And is that a good or a bad decision? And she thinks that it is a very bad decision, and we need to be a part of that. We need to realize that climate change is real and to be a part of fixing it. Next up was New Jersey, and they asked her about the Confederate statues that were built back in the day. People want them removed, some people want them to stay. They asked her what she thought about it. She said she believes that they should be moved to a museum because they are an important part of our country's history. And then finally was DC. And they asked her about a lot of young kids who play football or contact sports getting concussions, and it's really affecting them as they grow older. Should it be changed to no contact football in schools for the kids? And she said yes, she does believe that they should not have as much contact in the sports as throughout the schools, just because as somebody going into the medical field, she's seen a lot of kids suffering from complications from concussions or what that eventually leads to. So she thinks it's a good idea to take them out completely. So I think they all did very well, but I was expecting that from Miss America. These girls are very smart, not saying that the Miss Universe organization girls aren't, but these girls are prepared for that. Once they finished their final question, it was time for Savvy Shields' Miss America 2017 to take her final walk. She looked great, so after that, we started to announce the runners-up and the winner. The 4th runner-up was Texas, and I was shocked. I I liked her a lot. She was my favorite going into the top 5. So I wanted her to win, and I thought she did a great job handling her question. Third runner-up was District of Columbia, and then the second runner-up was New Jersey, and then it was down to Miss Missouri and Miss North Dakota. At this point, I kind of knew who was going to win, just based on everything that had happened. So they announced that Miss America was Miss North Dakota, Caramond, and that the first runner-up was Miss Missouri. Miss North Dakota was cute. She was fun. I liked her. She was never my front runner, never my favorite, but I like her. I like her story. She's also now the first woman from North Dakota to win Miss America, which is a pretty cool accomplishment. That's pretty much it. Miss America doesn't go on to compete in a higher pageant. That's it. That is the top. She's reached as high as she can go. So congratulations, Caramond. Anyways, that's it for this episode of Pop Culture. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you missed the Miss America pageant, I'm sure you can find it online so you can know what I'm talking about, but I did just spoil the entire show for you, so I apologize. But if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Remember to hit the subscribe button. I put out new videos every week. Leave a comment down below. Who were your favorites at the Miss America pageant this year? And what was your favorite gown? Let me know. But yeah, that's it. I will see you guys next time. Bye!